She was the architect of an empire. Her own son became her executioner. She poisoned an emperor. She destroyed a rival aunt on charges of witchcraft. She crowned her own son emperor of Rome. His name was Nero. 5 years later, he ordered her death. This is not a legend. It's Roman history. This is the story of Agrippina the Younger. For millennia, power in Rome belonged to men. Crowns passed through the male line. Women rarely ruled, and rarely on their own terms. Agrippina was the exception. Her ambition, brutality, and political genius rivaled, and at times surpassed, the men around her. Julia Agrippina was born November 6, 15 AD, in a military settlement called Oppidum Ubiorum, today's Cologne. Her bloodline was flawless, even by Roman standards. Her father, the general Germanicus, was adored by the legions and seen as Rome's future savior. Her mother, Agrippina the Elder, granddaughter of Augustus, had a character contemporaries called simply dangerous. In this family, ambition wasn't a trait, it was inheritance. But her cradle stood in the shadow of paranoia and political murder, the atmosphere of Emperor Tiberius's Rome. The first blow came early. In 19 AD, her father died suddenly and suspiciously in Antioch. Poison, most contemporaries believed. History remembers the scene that followed, her mother carrying his funeral urn across all of Italy, crowds along the road hailing her as the widow of a national hero, while somewhere nearby the emperor's spies watched, just in case grief turned into rebellion. Agrippina was 4 years old. The lesson was already clear. In the imperial family, survival belongs to the cautious, not the virtuous. In 29 AD, her mother and brothers were arrested for conspiracy. One brother, Drusus, was left to starve in confinement. So desperate, sources say, he tried eating the stuffing of his own mattress. It's not the kind of story carved onto triumphal arches, but it explains everything about the woman Agrippina became. Contemporaries described her as cold, almost motionless, short, fine-featured. A gaze ancient writers called icy, even piercing. Fashionable golden brown hair, styled in the latest Roman trend, framing a mind fixed on one question. Always, who's next? Every conversation, every alliance, every marriage in her family was a calculation. Nothing was left to chance. She studied genealogies instead of philosophy, alliances instead of poetry, and a working knowledge of poison, which would prove very useful indeed. Her rise to power was slow, methodical, almost clinical. In 49 AD, she married her own uncle, Emperor Claudius. Roman law had to bend slightly to allow it. When the emperor personally wants a legal reform, it tends to move quickly. As Augusta, she became the center of the court almost overnight. Next, the dynasty's future. In 50 AD, she convinced Claudius to adopt her son from her first marriage, Lucius Domitius. History remembers him by a far more famous name, Nero. One boy's rise meant another's fall. Claudius's own son, Britannicus, suddenly found his place as heir in serious question. In 53 AD, she eliminated one of her last rivals, her aunt, Domitia Lepida. The charge: sorcery and black magic. Convenient, popular. Lepida was executed. Her property naturally went straight to her accuser. But Agrippina's biggest obstacle was still alive and still on the throne. October 13th, 54 AD. Claudius sat down to dinner in Rome. His favorite dish, white mushrooms, which the Romans called the food of the gods. No one blinked when unusually fine specimens appeared on his plate. Ancient sources say they were laced with poison prepared by Locusta, Rome's most notorious poisoner. When it worked too slowly, the court physician Xenophon stepped in, supposedly to help the emperor. tickling his throat with a feather. The feather had been dipped in hemlock. By morning, Claudius was dead. Rome called it a tragic coincidence. A year later, the last rival vanished too. In 55 AD, 13-year-old Britannicus collapsed at a feast. Sources say the poison acted so fast, his body darkened right at the table. The path to the throne was finally, completely clear. Under Nero, Rome's political system began to rot from within. Informers thrived. Confiscations multiplied. The treasury emptied. The old senatorial families disappeared at an alarming rate. One execution, one exile, one suicide at a time. The historian Tacitus described Agrippina as a woman of ferocious character who wielded even her own femininity as an instrument of power. The people had a simpler name for her, the she-wolf, devouring Rome from the inside. Her image outlived her reputation. Statues across the former empire depicted her as Ceres, goddess of fertility, an ironic choice, given the body count behind her rise. Her portrait survives on the frescoes of Pompeii. Fragments of her statues have turned up in both Rome and Cologne, but her most fitting monument is the ruins of her villa in Burli. There, in 59 AD, the same fate she had dealt out to so many others finally caught up with her. Her own son, Nero, decided his mother's political career had gone too far.